This seems completely surreal that I'm recording our 2024 end of the year ministry update. It literally feels like a week ago or a month ago that I was recording our 2023 end of the year update. So this is crazy. And I think it's probably par for the course considering just how busy things have been and how much has been accomplished this year. So I'm really excited to share some of that stuff with you, some of the highlights that stick out in my mind the most. And one of the things I'm noticing as I walk more and more closely with the Lord this year has required my wife and I to step out on the limb of faith more than we ever have before. And we're sort of noticing this pattern. We see it in the Bible, but we've also begun to really notice it in our lives. And it looks a little bit like this. We cry out to God for direction and guidance. Like we really just want to be in His will. We want to be led by Him, led by His Spirit. We don't want to veer off course. So we ask Him, God, establish our steps. Help us to not miss it. And then we go about our day full of the Spirit, overflowing from the quiet time we've had that morning. And we have this heightened level of attentiveness, right? We're paying attention to all the things going on around us. We're not just busily scurrying through the day, missing things, but we're trying to be present, walking with the Lord everywhere we go, trying to ask God, all right, God, where are you working? Where are you moving? What are you doing so that we can join Him in that work? And as we notice those little things, we do our best to see the breadcrumbs or to feel the nudges where God's saying, all right, join me in this and join me in that. And then we jump on board and we do our best to obey, no matter how scary it might seem in the moment or how big or daunting or whatever. And as we do that, as we agree with God and say, yes, I'll do that, and we join Him in what He's doing, then we have the opportunity to experience what it's like for Him to work through us, for Him to pour out of us, and to see the supernatural nature of that, knowing that what we're participating in, it couldn't happen without Him. And that seems to be the reoccurring thing. Like there's no way that this can happen unless God is doing it. It'd be like Moses taking credit for the parting of the sea. It's not possible. Like what God is doing, what He's accomplishing, it's Him. It's all Him. He is just choosing out of the kindness of His heart and out of His grace to allow us to be a part of it. And so we go along for this amazing adventure, this amazing ride. And so I can't take any credit for any of this. He's doing all of it. He's doing all the heavy lifting. We just have the privilege to be a part of it and to see Him operate and to see Him move. It's truly our greatest privilege. It is so fun, simultaneously really scary, but more and more as we do this and we live out this rhythm, so to speak, it's like our faith and our trust increases more and more. And we remember, oh, He did that. And oh yeah, remember He did that. And then we know going into this next scary thing where He's asking us to join Him, we know that He'll deliver and that He'll come through. And we develop this holy sense of confidence, not in ourselves, but in the fact that He is a good Father, that if He's calling us to do something, that He's going to be with us in that and provide the protection and the provision and all that's needed. And it's been absolutely wonderful. That's really the theme of this year, is just abiding in the Lord and paying attention to the breadcrumbs and the nudges and sometimes the very obvious where we can tell He's speaking to our heart and in our thoughts, like go do this. And then we jump on board and make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves or ahead of Him, and we're just allowing Him to move through us. So as I talk about some of these highlights, I preface by saying only God can do this. And He deserves all of the credit and all of the glory. So with that being said, I picked 5 things out of a bajillion that I thought were sort of the biggest moments of this year that God deserves the most credit and recognition for in this particular update. Number 1 is the Canada Youth Conference, the New Brunswick Bible Institute Youth Summit that we had a chance to speak at. I brought 2 of my disciples with me, young ministers, and they lightened some of my preaching duties. I had a chance to speak twice, and they had a chance to speak in front of a bigger audience than what they're used to, one time a piece. and we ended up having 62 salvation decisions that weekend. And out of that, I remember in my mind, it'll be seared in my mind forever, all of these youth leaders and youth pastors and students on their face, worshiping and crying out to God that they wanted to know him more deeply, or know him for the first time, or not to just play church, but to really know him. It was an incredible moment to witness that. And then the culmination of it was seeing over 300 people commit, verbally raising their hand, like really commit to seeking God daily by reading the Bible, studying his word in prayer, and being dedicated to having relationship and letting that go before ministry or before the rest of the things that we have in our lives. So that will stand out in my mind forever. It was an incredible conference. Number 2 is our film, The Fatherless Epidemic. The film is okay. It's pretty good, I think. God definitely did it. And considering the small budget we had, I thought it turned out really well. God did an amazing work there. But what is really cool is how it provided a platform to where, as of right now, we have over 25 million impressions from the film. So the film was sort of a catalyst or an open door to give us opportunities to do all these other things and speak in front of millions of people, not only sharing the gospel, sometimes on live radio, where it's not even a Christian radio station, it's a secular station, but it's live, so they can't do anything about it, or being in front of millions of people and being able to share the Father's heart for the fatherless, and to bring awareness to the fatherless epidemic in America. And so that film continues to bear fruit, but I feel like in 2024, there was so much fruit that came from that film. It was definitely worth mentioning. We still see things happening today because of it. And one of the examples of that is number 3, that somehow I had the opportunity to speak on the Eric Metaxas show. Over 8 million viewers. I had an opportunity, which was unplanned, to share my testimony, which points to the gospel. It points to Jesus. It's very evident and clear. And not only that, but again, to bring awareness to the fatherless epidemic to a really large audience, which is just incredible. What an opportunity. I was nervous out of my mind. I was a fish out of water walking around the streets of New York in preparation for this interview. It was a wild experience. By the way, some of the best cheesecake I've ever had in my life. But all that to say, it was one surreal experience that can only be explained by God opening up doors. Number 4, our walkabouts. It continues to be one of those things. It's like my baby, right? For over a decade now, this is something that I've had my hands on, and it's something that has been more and more developed as the years go. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, full of rich traditions that bear fruit. This year was very different, and it was different in the sense that we didn't have like 40 salvation decisions. We had 15 baptisms, we had 18 rededications, and we had 8 first-time salvation decisions. But what was different was the fact that we had so many repeat participants coming back, youth participants coming back as leaders and bringing their peers, and we had tons of commitment to leadership. There were 17 promotions to leadership. So keeping in mind, it's like, all right, I love when people make salvation decisions. Like it's my heart. I love it. And there's rejoicing in heaven. But the model Jesus left, it wasn't go make a bunch of converts in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It was to make disciples. And so that there would be multiplication by that model. We're creating students who create students who create students for the glory of God. And we began to see that more and more, which is one of the reasons why we're not shutting Walkabout down. We're expanding Walkabout. We're shutting the base camp down. We're going back to kind of how we started, really grassroots, where we have mobile units that can run multiple trips, maybe even simultaneously. So we're able to do more than just 12 trips a summer. But more than that, our goal is to equip other ministries to do what we're doing and use the traditions that we use and to bear the fruit that God's bearing through it. So that's the goal. And this year, to me, was a huge turning point where we're seeing not just people giving their life to Jesus, which is amazing, not just getting baptized, not just growing really close with a mentor that can disciple them when they go home, but seeing these youth step up into leadership and begin to lead their peers towards Jesus. In fact, we have a couple of examples that are 4 generations deep. So imagine a kid who's not even 18 yet, although we've deemed him a man through our traditions. He's not 18 yet, and yet he has someone he's brought, who has someone they've brought, who have someone they've brought, and there's been salvation decisions in all 4 of those generations. And so we see the multiplication of disciple makers, not just Christians who check the box. And then number 5, last but not least, I had this really weird opportunity to be interviewed by the 700 Club and share my testimony. Really a specific part of my testimony I didn't want to share, I've never really shared, sort of embarrassing and that kind of thing. But I really felt God tell me clearly, do it, say yes, and that God would be glorified through it. And it would probably be healing for me too. But that aside, that God would reach a lot of people. Seeing how the 700 Club has 360 million annual viewers, I put that as one of the biggest highlights of the year, because to speak in front of an audience like that, especially about something so vulnerable, admitting my shortcomings, admitting how I have fallen, admitting my struggles, I just believe that through that kind of humility, I know God is going to use that. As embarrassing as it might be to me, I know God can use that. Through our weakness is when He is strong. It's through admitting, hey, I'm not a tough guy. It's only by the grace of Jesus that I'm still here and still sane and doing well. And I know that will reach people. So praise God that He instructed me to do that. He opened the door for me to do that. He gave me the courage to do it. And I just pray there'd be a tremendous amount of fruit from it. So that's it as far as the top 5 highlights of 2024. I want to keep this video really short, and so I just have 3 things that you can join us for in praying as we close out the year. The first is for our new and upcoming film, Show Me Your Glory, and the companion book that we're writing that we'll release with that. Again, we're still trying to lock down dates for its theatrical release. We're looking at somewhere May 8, May 9. But we have The Chosen series season 5 coming out, and we don't want to overlap with them. But not only that, there is a really good chance that they will play our trailer in their theatrical debut of that season, which would help us get more people in the seats for sure. So be praying for that. Pray that we'd get good dates locked down, but also that our partnership with The Chosen would be such that we could have our trailer played, and that would reach a ton of people that'd be willing to come see our film. And so also pray that God would sustain us as we're writing this book. We're about 70,000 words deep. I've got another 40,000 words to write. And we're capturing so much more than the movie captures. And we're including all kinds of bonus material and things that just go way, way deeper, especially into the apologetic of suffering and other things like that. So just be praying that God sustains us in that as we're typing. Like, I can tell when God is with me and when I'm trying to do it in my own strength. And it's a nightmare doing it in my own strength. So just pray that I would walk in the Spirit. I should say type in the Spirit. Pray that I would type in the Spirit and that the Lord would guide as we continue writing this thing. Next, number 2 is rest. As you know, if you know me, I'm sure most of you know that I am terrible. So is my wife. We are terrible at resting and taking a break. We typically push the gas and stay on it, and we run at a pretty fast pace all the time. And we really feel like the Lord asking us, and some of our accountability partners are asking us, all right, you need to chill out and take a little break during this Christmas season. So pray that we would give ourselves permission to do that and shelve some of the things we're doing and just rest a little bit, spend some good family time, catch up on some sleep, maybe even take a nap, the good things. I'd really appreciate prayer for that. Thank you. And then last but not least, I would not be doing my job as an executive director if I didn't let people know what our needs are and give God an opportunity to specifically put things on people's hearts in order to maybe meet those needs. And so I'm asking that you would please prayerfully consider meeting some of these needs. First is an update on our funding for the film. We only have $133,240 left to fundraise, which is absolutely insane how God has been coming through. Again, I don't like fundraising, but I love seeing how God comes through. It's bonkers. Like, it's absolutely supernatural. It's amazing. Not only that, but I continue to see God moving in the process of fundraising. I continue to see God moving in people's hearts. I see God developing people that may be holding their earthly possessions too tight, and they begin to release those and partner with God in ministry in ways that they never have. And then I see them experiencing joy in ways they never have, and God moving in ways that they haven't seen God move in. And it's just really, really cool to see that transaction take place. For Walkabouts 2025, so this coming summer, we only need $89,558 in order to be fully funded for this next summer, which is crazy. We've never been at that point this time of year, and so God has already started providing in huge ways. So to me, man, what a relief. I'm going into 2025 not having as much pressure to try to fundraise those dollars for our camp season and stuff. So awesome stuff. God continues to move in amazing ways. I am more than 2/3 of the way done with my doctorate, and we have all these other irons in the fire that are just tremendous. If I think about the big picture of them, it's crazy. There's just no way that we could do this or even sustain this pace. But then when I kind of zoom in and I'm in the moment, just, all right, I'm eating an elephant and I just need to eat him one bite at a time. I sense the Lord's provision and grace in that moment. Jesus says, don't think about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. There's enough cares in the day, right? We don't have to add to that. No man has added a single day to his life by worrying. And so as I stay focused and just in the moment, and maybe this is an encouragement to some of you to do the same, this life, if we just break it down moment to moment, praying without ceasing, walking with the Lord moment to moment, and not thinking about the big picture all the time, and thinking about our major to-do list, our macro to-do list all the time, and in living in the future or dwelling in the past, but we're just right here. All right, Lord, I've got this thing right in front of me for the next 10 minutes or the next hour or the next few hours. Like, Lord, would you walk with me in this? Let's do this together, and let's have joy while we do it. That the joy of the Lord would be our strength. We get to see him move in such cool ways, and we don't miss the opportunities. I'll share one story with you before I let you go. It was in the gym the other day, trying to get all swole in the YMCA, and I'm in a hurry. I have limited time. I have to run 12 miles a week to hit my goals for the year. I've got to lift a bunch of weights. So I'm in there and I'm like, I'm on mission. I'm not there to socialize, but I did commit to the Lord that I wouldn't wear earplugs or earbuds, when I'm working out. Now, when I'm on the treadmill, okay, yeah, I can wear my earbuds and listen to some music or an audiobook. But when I'm walking around the weight room, I've committed to not having those in so that I could be more approachable by people and possibly minister. And there was a moment, like I've been praying, God, give me opportunities to share the gospel. Give me opportunities to minister. And sure enough, I had an opportunity to do just that. And in the moment, I'm thinking, I don't have time for this. I got to get done in here, and then I got a meeting, and then I got this, and then I got that. My mind immediately went there. And then the Lord just was so kind to remind me, all right, stop. This is what you prayed for. This is far more important than you being 5 minutes early for your meeting. Pay attention. Be present. This is it. There is a person's soul on the line right now. Be present. And I'm praying inside my thoughts, like, God, all right, Lord, just speak through me. Let me bear your love. Let me show your love right now. My facial expressions and my voice and my mannerisms and all of it. Like, Lord, I want you to be seen right now. And he gave me an opportunity to minister twice that day, not just once, but twice, which was utterly amazing. And so I think that is really the sweet spot. That's what he's wanting us to do. to not be like this all day, just glued and not present, but to have the discipline to be aware and attentive of what God is doing around us in the room that we're in the setting we're in the context we're in the sphere of influence we are in, and listening and paying attention so that we can join him in that. Whenever we see God moving around us, that is him giving us an invitation to be a part of what he's doing. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's like he's speaking to us. It's similar to the burning bush moment for Moses. We see, that's interesting. God's doing something over here. I need to go check this out. And we develop this kind of curiosity. And when you meet that curiosity and you marry that with the attentiveness that we have and noticing it in the first place, and then we follow that with obedience, we find ourselves in all these really cool situations where God can use us. And as he uses us, we get to see him move. And there's nothing better than that kind of experience where we see our Father move and to be utilized by him. It's what I call the second level of intimacy. The first and most important is our quiet time. The second is when we have the opportunity to have intimacy with God as we're being used by him and as we're partnering with him in his work. There's just a closeness that we get to feel in that moment that's really sweet and really fun and amazing, and it's worth it. It grows our faith, yes. It grows our trust in him, yes. But it grows our friendship. It grows our relationship. And it's pleasing to him, and it brings him much glory. So that's all I have for you. You guys, what a year. Oh, I'm so excited. We have all kinds of biblical prophecy happening all around us in the news. We see that the imminent return of Christ is more and more likely as the days pass. And it's like, man, it just should increase your faith so much. Like, we should have so much joy. Like, yes, this stuff, I know it's horrible in some ways and tragic, and there's all these things happening, but also there's this hope. We don't mourn like those without hope. We mourn and we're sad about those things with this amazing expectation that, wow, this is really sad, and I really hope we don't go to war, and I hope all these things. But we also know that this signals the coming of our Messiah. And so I get giddy. I'm like, I don't want these things to happen, but they're inevitably going to happen because all biblical prophecy comes to pass. So get excited. Now is the time to have urgency for the gospel to get out. I love you guys so much. If you feel led, the Lord tugs on your heart, you can either go to the fatherless epidemic.org and click donate, or you can write a check made out to The Alliance, and you can mail it to The Alliance, 262 Crystal Springs Drive, Florence, Alabama, 35634. Bless you. Merry Christmas. I hope you have an amazing new year, and we'll talk to you soon, probably sometime in February. Bye-bye.